Hello, everybody. Welcome to Full Sail University. My name is Dave Chmela. I am a mixing engineer on the dub stage here on campus. Today's session is regarding audio post workflows for episodic TV. I'd like everybody to please welcome our special guest, Frank Scheuring, who is owner, sound editor, and mixer at Capital Audio Post in Fairfax, Virginia. Welcome, Frank.
Thank you very much.
So before we kind of get into the topic, I think it would be nice to give our students here a chance to hear more about like how you got from Full Sail to owning a post facility up in Washington, if you could.
Sure, no problem. Well, hey everybody. I graduated in September of 2001, and about 3 days later I started working at a place called MVI Post, which is in Northern Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C. And I started off doing QC work, quality control, video dubbing, all sorts of random things, and assisting then the lead sound designer and mixer. And I did that for a while, moved up, started doing his jobs while other people thought that he was doing them, and moved on, got my own clients in, and I was there until August of last year. And the company closed, and we all got laid off. And one of the other guys that I worked with, Chip Sovek, who's also a Full Sail grad, 91, I believe, he and I decided it was the prime opportunity to try to do something on our own. So we started Capital Audio Post in a frantic manner. And we had about 2 months to buy everything, find a place, set it up, build it, get it ready, and have a session. Which is pretty insane.
Yes.
3 days before my first session, we had no carpet and no paint. But here we are, and the first session was November 4th. Mm-hmm. So we're a few months in, and things are looking pretty good.
Excellent. All right. Okay, so I guess one of the first, another thing I'd like to talk about too is you edit on a slightly different system than what most of us learn here, which is Pro Tools. Which is a system called Fairlight. So if you could tell us a little bit about Fairlight.
Sure. Fairlight is an Australian-based company. It's a DAW just like Pro Tools or Logic or whatever you're using. It like Pro Tools used to be, is interconnected between the software and the hardware. So the software, the actual DAW is called Dream. The controllers that we use at our place and formerly at MVI are called the Constellation XT. We have 144 channels. We can do up to 7.1. Right now we're set for 5.1. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of really great things about the Fairlight, which is why we decided to stay with Fairlight. And because unlike film work or some other TV work, our deadlines are usually really short, like 2 to 5 days. So we need something really fast, and we were already very comfortable and up to speed on that, and so we decided to keep with it. And you know, there's a lot of benefits. I could go on for an hour about
It's true.
about the benefits of the Fairlight, in my opinion. Some people scoff at it, but you know, because it's unknown.
Yeah. Now, the MVI Post, now, did they have a Fairlight there, or were you using Pro Tools?
No, it was Fairlight, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, they had 3 Constellation XTs and then another system called a Xynergy, which now me and my partner Chip own all 4 of those. So.
Oh, wow, excellent. Very cool. So as you can see, there are different editing DAWs out there, editing mixing systems out there. I myself came from a completely different background like that, and we actually used to teach Fairlight here way back in the day.
First time I touched it was here.
Yes, because I was going to say, you said September of 2001. I actually started working here in June of 2001, so I may have been the clueless instructor that you might have had one night.
All I remember is whoever was the lab instructor kept telling us, you can't break this, try it. And so we kept trying to crash it and we couldn't do it.
And I thought it was a fabulous system myself. So you bring up a really good question there, a statement there about how you have very fast turnaround times, sometimes 2 to 5 days. Now, when you get a project in, first off, now I've seen that you have an edit suite in your place. Now, are you doing the actual video editing and then the audio mixing, or is that a combination, or what are you doing?
Not so far at Capital Audio Post.
Okay.
At MVI, it went either way.
Okay.
It was either edited somewhere else and brought in for audio, or edited there and mixed there.
Okay.
So far, we use the Final Cut Pro because we have a client that prefers for us to do the video and audio laybacks. Okay. So we said, okay, so we bought the Final Cut so we could do it.
All right, all right. So let's see here. I got, okay, for anybody who's looking for him with a mohawk.
The mohawk's gone, sorry.
Okay, yes. So right here, as we can see, we have a picture of his Audio 1. Okay, now
so that's my room.
Now okay, so this is your room. Mm-hmm. Okay, and we're 5.1. Now, as what some of you people are going to see too is like if you've had a chance maybe to come by the dub stage and see what it looks like, or you see film mixing stages, what you're going to see a little bit here too is that a lot of, especially television mixing rooms, are a little smaller, okay? So it's a little bit more compact in what you're looking at here, all right? And let's see, that's Audio 1.
No, you're right, and we mix at a lower level. So.
Right. So we're not mixing in a theater-type setting. We're mixing in a much smaller space. So as powerful? Yes, we're probably as powerful there. So you said you're running 144 tracks?
There's 144 channels, which includes tracks and what they call live inputs, which are basically fake tracks. Like you don't have a fader for it. Well, you do, but it's hard to explain. Anyway, 144 channels. I think we're at 56 buses. It might be 48 buses. I can't remember.
Okay. All right. So we've got a couple of cool looking rooms here.
That one's my partner Chip's room.
Right. And then so this is.
That's the Final Cut room, which is sadly the best looking room in the whole place, and 2 walls of it are solid windows, so we couldn't use it as an audio room.
All right. Then we have ISO. Now, is it just one ISO booth, or you have
yeah, right now we have that. And that room is pretty large. That picture only shows about half of it. We can probably put 5 or 6 people in there for voice talent or other sound work or whatever. On the left-hand side, we haven't done it yet, but we're going to build some Foley pits along the left side. Mm-hmm. And it's about 4 times the size of the booth that we had at MVI because it's usually just a narrator.
Right. Right.
But we wanted to get away from that and try to be able to do some other stuff, group, walla, or whatever, So we wanted to take advantage of this room that we had that was an odd shape that we couldn't use for anything else.
Right. Yeah, and if you want to, maybe do an ensemble piece or something, or a cartoon or something where you want to get everybody in,
exactly.
It's nice to have that big room,
Yep, and you can swing stuff around to record cool sounds.
Yes.
Without hitting a wall.
All right. So I wanted to get into is, now I actually have a clip from one of your shows called Bomb Patrol. So I thought maybe we could do is we'll take a look at Bomb Patrol, and then we'll kind of like start going through what some of the stuff is about getting in that together. Okay, so let's take a listen here.
On my orders, the United States military has begun strikes against the Taliban regime in Afghanistan.
Afghanistan has become one of the most dangerous spots on Earth. The weapon of choice there increasingly is the IED.
After 10 years of war, IEDs are now the #1 killer of American troops.
Chase, I got pressure plate.
Last year, the enemy planted 15,000 new IEDs.
This ain't Hollywood. It's Afghanistan.
Now, Navy EOD Platoon 342 is embarking on a deadly 5-month mission to find the bombs.
We're on top of an IED right now.
Yeah, we are.
Before the bombs find them.
Very nice.
Lots of blowing stuff up in that.
Blowing stuff up. All right, so what I put up is an image of his actual session, the edit window from this particular mix. And so if you could just tell us, the client says, hey, I've got this, I want you to work on this. What is the very first thing they're going to get to you?
Well, usually we'll get either an OMF or an AEF of the audio edit from the video editor and a QuickTime reference movie. And from there, especially with Bomb Patrol, and there was another one that we did that was very similar called Heroes of Hell's Highway, my partner Chip and I split up duties because we only had 5 days. And so, we would take it from there, and I would start day one cutting the music, which the editor had already cut in, but they were trying to make it fit the picture and not necessarily musically edited. So I'm going through and trying to fix the music edits while keeping the hits on the video.
Okay, so wait, so you're saying the editors are not musically inclined to cut music for the picture?
I didn't say that.
Okay.
For those of you who are video editors, pay attention to the music.
Beat, 1, 2, 3,
Right,
4.
exactly. So while I'm doing that, Chip is going through, organizing all the tracks. I don't remember exactly, but I think from the video editor we were getting anywhere from 30 to 40 tracks, which most of it was actually just muted because it was doubled up or whatever. And various microphones depending on interviews or in the truck, dialogue that we were trying to catch or whatever. And so over the period of 4 days, we're trading back and forth. I'm doing music edits, he's doing that. He's cleaning up dialogue edits, sending it to me. I'm putting in isotope, trying to make it, actually usable in some cases. Sometimes it was okay. And then I'm doing sound design on the graphics and the maps and stuff like that while he's doing guns and whatever. And then it goes to him for final mix, and then day 5, approval, layback, and done.
And out the door.
Yeah.
So pretty crazy little schedule there, huh?
Absolutely.
All right. So now you're getting 30 to 40 tracks, you say, in the OMF. With the stuff that you added on, how many tracks you're finishing there?
I think Bomb Patrol averaged out to be 60 or 70. I can't remember.
Okay. So we're pretty much doubling once we get that out.
Right.
So, all right.
And it's not like we're doing, I don't know, some feature guys that I've talked to, they'll have, the one track that's the door for the truck or whatever. Right. And ours, we're like, let's just get that stuff in there and checkerboard it and try to fit it in to get done quick.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think that's a major difference with film versus television, where in film we've got time, we lay everything out so the mixer knows these tracks here are doors and everything. Whereas in TV, we just learned that, this is an hour-long show, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I think it was 47 and a half minutes or something.
Okay. So we're looking at 47, so basically half a movie, but done in 5 days, as opposed to 3 months, 2 months that you might do a movie in, a full movie. So, turnaround time is, sometimes it isn't as pretty, okay? And that's just a little bit of how do we get all this together? All right, so we've gotten our picture in, and then I'm assuming too, you don't have final picture. You're looking at a work picture?
Usually, well, with Bomb Patrol, we were usually missing some maps and missing some graphics because they weren't done yet, being created.
Okay.
But usually the picture was pretty much locked as far as timing goes.
Okay.
Now, there are shows that we'll get where it's not final.
Right.
I did one a few weeks ago. I think you have a image of the next Megaquake for Nat Geo, and I was cutting all the music, searching for music, picking music, cutting it in, and it wasn't final. And so I just conform, the next day when they send me the next edit, conform what I've already done and move on.
Okay, so there's a really good word right there for anybody who ever thinks about getting into television, sound especially, is the word conform. So if you could just give us a little explanation of what you consider conforming.
Conforming is basically adapting the work that you've already done to the next step. So if someone gives me an OMF and a video file and I'm cutting music and, let's say I get 19 minutes in, and then they send me the next edit the next day and they made changes in that first 19 minutes, then I have to go back and adapt the work that I've done to match that next cut.
The new picture.
Right. And there's a number of ways to do it. You can do it by hand, by yourself, or whatever, or you can get an EDL, and depending on the system you're using, maybe external software, or with the Fairlight, it has an EDL conform feature. So,
nice.
Very it makes it a little bit easier.
See? Okay. Conforming is not fun. I'll just tell you that right now.
No.
We all dread it. That is why we, specifically when we're working in audio post, we really want locked picture. So, especially for people out there that want to do film sound, I think a thing you have to think about is like, say your buddy comes up to you, the filmmaker, and says, hey, can we start cutting my film? And, doing the sound for it, and you're like, all right, is this locked picture? Well, I'm just going to make a couple of changes. That's where you go, no. You finish everything.
Yeah, it's no fun.
Then you get back to me, because conforming is no fun whatsoever. Okay. All right, so we've got some pretty fast turnaround times and everything. Now, so setting the session up itself, are you starting off with just a complete blank slate? Do you have templates? When you do a series, do you have templates that you set up specifically? Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Templates will save you more time than just about anything else in the quick turnaround time of TV. Now, like Chip, I'll just call him Chip from now on. That's my partner, right? So Chip and I both have our own templates for stereo projects, for 5.1 projects, for whatever. But then we also have series-specific templates that are developed from those basic templates as you go through the series. So by the time you get to the third or fourth episode, your template's pretty much laid out for that series, and it helps speed the mix along, in particular. Not so much like with Bomb Patrol, I wasn't mixing, Chip was. I'm doing sound editing. So I didn't really have the template up for that because I had my music edit project, and then I had my ambience project where I'm cutting like the truck sounds and whatever, and I'm just passing that off to him.
Right.
And then he's pulling that into his template. And so once you get 3 or 4 episodes in, then you can go, okay, tracks 31 to 39 are trucks.
Right.
So you can just drop it in, and the EQ's already set on the track and whatever. And so it definitely, absolutely speeds. I'm sure you did the same thing with, especially the cartoon stuff.
Yeah. I worked on a lot of cartoons when I was younger, even before you even came to Full Sail. And that was very, very big thing was to have everything set up. We had our own libraries. We had specific sounds we couldn't use, when you get into a really long series where you just, over and over and over again and stuff, and you had to have a certain rhythm to it. But in terms of where the actual timeline of delivering a show nowadays has really changed. Back in the 90s, we would deliver a show, we had 2 weeks to deliver a half-hour show. And that was a cartoon, okay? So now we've just talked about Bomb Patrol with bombs and cars and trucks and all this stuff and all this crazy dialogue that's a big mess, and he's got 5 days to do it.
Yeah, but at the same time, you're working from nothing.
Come on.
You know what I mean? I mean, the animators, there's no sound when they create the animation. You're starting with the total blank slate. At least we had recorded audio, from the field and things like that.
All right, I'll give you that.
Pat yourself on the back.
We had to come up with more twisted things, I would say, okay? A little bit crazier stuff. Okay, so now we talked about, since this is, you said this is just a one-off, right? Bomb Patrol is like a one.
That was 17 episodes.
Oh, 17 episodes. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry about that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other one we had here was DC Cupcakes. If you give us a little background on DC Cupcakes before we
DC
play
Cupcakes is a reality series on TLC. It's like totally different from Bomb Patrol. It's very light and funny, and I could say a lot of other things about it, but like the sounds in particular are completely different. So in Bomb Patrol, we're going with more menacing stuff, or like the digital sounding stuff for the graphics and the maps and whatever. And in Cupcakes, it's like bells and twinkly,
lighter area, yeah.
whatever. And like Chip does all that, the twinkly, all that stuff. With Cupcakes, I do the same thing with the music, like Bomb Patrol.
Okay.
And then I help him by cutting ambiences in. And I mean, it's reality. It's not a feature film. So let's cover it and hopefully make the dialogue more smooth, and then add in the fun stuff.
Right. Okay.
Twinkly bells.
So this sounds light and airy and everything. So we do have a clip from it. So why don't we get now just to see the complete 180 that you can go in television here. Let's take a look at this.
Coming up on this episode of DC Cupcakes.
Oh my God. What is mommy doing?
It's Christmas.
We're making a 6-foot-tall nutcracker out of cupcakes.
You want to make a cotton candy hair and beard? Fire! Fire! Oh my God! Oh my God!
I hear something cracking.
All hands on deck. We're trying to finish this nutcracker.
Lift it up a little bit more.
Wait, my fingers! Oh my God!
I'm Sophie.
And I'm Catherine. We're sisters and business partners. We ditched our corporate jobs to follow our dreams, to work together and make the world's best tasting cupcakes. It's not going to be easy.
There's the twinkly bells.
Twinkly bells!
Completely different.
Okay. And so now you get an idea now what it looks like for this particular session. Okay. So now give us a little background on like what kind of elements you're getting for this particular show.
It's the same production company, so we get a lot of the same stuff. They cut the music in, and we have anywhere from 6 to 10 dialogue tracks with this one, depending on who the production sound mixer was on the particular shoot day, or who the assistant editor was that loaded the production audio.
Okay.
So sometimes we have to go back and go, hey, do you have more other
now,
mics of this?
Are they all mic'd up, all the characters, or are they running a boom pole too?
Yeah, it's a combination of lavs, booms, camera mics, you name it.
Okay, so they're running everything. All right, and the editor's giving you like temp effects and...
Yeah, I don't really pay attention too much to the sound effects in this series because I don't mess with them, but I think they do put in some kind of stuff just for reference for them while they're doing it. I don't know how much Chip swaps out on that. I should have asked him before I came here, I guess, so I knew how to answer that question. But there's a lot less tracks in this compared to Bomb Patrol. This one, I think, is a 3-day turnaround, but it's much simpler. And you can see those yellow tracks there. Those are actually the bounces of the mix, so it's not even part of the creation of the show itself. That's just where Chip bounces his final stems and full mix.
All right. Now, on all the shows, do you always work in tandem with Chip on all the shows?
No. For the series stuff we do, and depending on how much other work we have, if we have multiple shows in-house at one time, then we'll do the tag team thing because it's just much easier and you stay more sane that way. As far as like a National Geographic show or something like that, usually it's just one person.
Okay.
Or a simple Discovery show or something like that.
Okay. Are you doing a lot of Foley on these or any kind of...
On Bomb Patrol, we did a lot because we wanted to have fun doing it.
Yeah.
But most of it was like clothes rustling, getting in and out of the trucks because now you got to keep in mind the audio for Bomb Patrol was recorded pretty much with GoPro cameras attached to people's helmets and trucks. So you're not hearing the footsteps and you're not hearing them, getting in and out of the truck even though you're seeing it.
Right.
So we're not trying, it's like a docu-reality kind of thing like Deadliest Catch. So we're not trying to go feature film here.
Right.
We're just, you should be able to hear that, so let's make them hear it.
Yeah.
So we did footsteps and we did, like I said, clothes rustling, getting in and out of the truck. And Chip has a friend in National Guard and was able to go out and record some trucks. So we were able to use that too. It's not Foley, but it's rare that we get to go out and record sounds for these shows because the budgets and the time constraints are crazy. But this time we knew ahead of time we were going to do it. And he said, I'm going to call my friend. And so he went out and recorded these trucks, which saved our butts.
Yeah.
Because the audio from the field, I mean, you're in the middle of Afghanistan in the desert with a GoPro camera.
Right.
You're not
a terribly dynamic microphone on those.
Yeah, exactly.
Either.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. So let's see here. Now, we were talking about the multiple mics that you're receiving. So now, are they just giving you you get there's a line and then there's all the other mics under it? Are you getting it those on separate tracks?
If they give us everything, it'll be.
And are they picking what they feel is the best microphones, or are they just whatever the easiest thing for them to edit is?
That would honestly be a question for Chip, but I know that I've seen when I'm cutting music, I'll have those tracks up, and sometimes they just clip level. The other one's down, they don't want to use or whatever. But sometimes they only just put one or two. It'll be the lav and a boom combined or something, and then we just pick. And if we're not happy with either one of them, Chip calls them up and goes, hey, what do you have?
Okay, cool. Now, I've worked on some reality shows too, and they actually do is they pick all the mics, and then they give me a separate OMF of every other mic.
That would be nice.
And stuff. So it is nice, except sometimes when they make some horrible choices or stuff. But
at least you have it to go to immediately.
At least it's out of the way and stuff. Yes. So now, processing-wise too, do you do a lot of processing? Obviously, it sounds like Chip does more of the dialogue type stuff. But are you feel like you're going through whenever you're hitting the dialogue? Do you feel like you're doing a lot of the processing on the dialogue or trying to keep it natural?
To use Bomb Patrol as an example, I use Isotope RX2 like a madman because it was, once again, recorded in the middle of a desert in a truck.
Yeah.
So tried to save as much as we could. They would put subtitles in, and then when they came in for mix layback, they would be like, all right, I can understand that. Let's get rid of the subtitle. Okay. Let's get it. So they tried to remove as many subtitles as possible.
Right.
But as far as other processing, compression, EQ, RX2, which is unbelievably awesome.
Yes. For those of you who don't know, Isotope is just a fabulous company. Okay. I'll tell you what, in fact, why don't we, since we're just yapping about it, what we have here is, this is a show, Hell's Highway. This is dialogue before Isotope. What we're looking at right now is the spectral repair program. And so as we can see, the waveform is really, really fat.
A lot of noise.
Fat. And that's not with a pH,
not with
folks.
A pH.
Not with a pH. All right. So with some processing on it, you can, you don't even have to hear it to know that we have reduced a lot, okay?
And should have sent those files to you. Sorry about that.
No problem. Yeah. And a great thing about Isotope too is that you have decrackling, you have just all sorts of other stuff, denoise.
Declipping works very well too.
Declipping. And then I guess with lavalier microphones, you get a lot of crackle. You might get interference over the airwaves and stuff like that you'll get in your microphones too. So fabulous program that we've been using a lot here too. We're trying to teach it more, and also because it runs as a standalone, so you don't have to have Pro Tools. You can run it on.
Exactly, and it's fairly simple to learn.
Right.
I mean, I need someone to teach me really how to use it. I've just kind of fumbled my way through, but
yeah. And,
you can probably find on YouTube, if you're interested in that,
yes.
Bob Bronow, who does Deadliest Catch and all that stuff, he's like the king of Isotope. Try to find some stuff of him talking about that because he can teach you a lot.
Yeah, he actually did a thing here, about a year and a half ago. And he was showing us what he did on Deadliest Catch, and it's like, because these people on the boats basically don't care about the microphones, so they slam them. They use a lot of camera microphones. So you got wind, you got water. He even said that they go in with a budget of knowing they're going to lose 70% of all the equipment that goes on the boat. So that tells you the quality of stuff that they just know cameras are going overboard at times, and it's like, well, pull it up, we got the shot.
It's amazing you can understand anything on that show. He really does a great job with. Yeah. So if you can find anything with him talking about Isotope, check it out.
Yeah, he's actually on the Isotope page too for his endorsement for it. So it's really cool. All right. So talking about sound effects, actually, a little bit of that. So for each series, so we're going through a series and everything, and just the creation of the effects. I mean, when you first started, it's like we do the first show and you say, wow, those effects worked for us. Do we start making a library off that? Is that how you're doing it?
Yeah. Once again, using Bomb Patrol as an example, the first episode, I went in to create the sounds for the graphics and the maps and stuff like that, and then I brought Chip in and said, hey, listen to this, what do you think? He's like, yeah, I like that, I don't like that, let's switch this, whatever. And so once we decided on what we liked, then we were like, okay, and so I kept that one project for the sound design, for the graphics and stuff, and so then I just go in and just, from episode to episode, just basically just copy-paste, because we've already created it, or found from a library the sound that we like.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's like, okay, these are the sounds we're using for Bomb Patrol. And for the cupcakes, it's like, okay, these are the twinkly bells that we like for cupcakes or whatever. There's really not a whole lot of series that we do. A lot of the stuff is just one-offs. So we don't really have, like, this is the whatever show for Nat Geo sound library. But if we create something, we're like, oh, that was pretty cool, then we'll just tuck it on the server so we can get to it.
Right. Now, sound effects library-wise, now are you running just a bunch of sound effects libraries with your own library? What libraries are you using?
Boy, a lot.
Which ones aren't we using?
Yeah, a lot. Hollywood Edge and Sound Ideas and a lot. Yeah, I don't know how many sound effects we have. Right now our sound effects server is, I don't know, 5 or 6 terabytes, and it's maybe half full. It's not a whole boatload, but we just collect them over the years and at MVI, and we just brought it over. And then the stuff that we create, we just add to it, or the stuff that we record, add to it. And
so that's a good thing for anybody too, just starting out, is record.
Well, yeah.
Record, keep your sounds, build your libraries.
Well, then you'll have it, and if you don't have time, like we don't, we don't have time to go out and record stuff. We're like, oh, we're doing an earthquake show. Let's go find someone that's rolling something heavy, or whatever. We don't have time for that. Yes. But actually, is Rick here?
Where's
Rick Veers over there, who's like
the sound effect guru.
Yeah, the godfather of sound effects libraries. We rely on guys like Rick that make a living at creating sounds for sound effects libraries, so we don't have to go in our 3 days and record some bird chirping in a field when we can go, oh wait, search.
He's got a fabulous
Here's
one.
He's
got 10
That's
fabulous
a
ones.
brilliant bird chirping in a field.
So, cool. All right. Now, too, you're talking about how you and Chip are kind of bouncing ideas and stuff like that. How much is, like, once you receive something and the director or producer of the particular show, are they come in during the process? The only time they see it, is it at the final mix? Where is their...
Yeah, we, for the most part, have really awesome clients that we have been able to develop really good relationships with over the past, however many years. Usually, Bomb Patrol, Cupcakes, a couple other ones, like Heroes on Hell's Highway, they only come in for mix approval, and they're not there any other time. Some of the Nat Geo stuff, if I'm recording the voiceover, then the producer will come in, do the ISDN session, or in-studio record, or whatever, and then they leave. Okay. And then they come back on approval day. All right. So they trust us to do it, and usually the changes are very minimal. So I've gone through 47-minute show approvals in 47 minutes, and I've gone through 47-minute approvals in 8 hours. It really just depends on the client.
Wow.
You got to know what they want so you can adapt what you do to them.
Right. Okay, so getting to know your client, that's very good. I've
Very
never been through a
important.
47-minute approval in 47 minutes, I'll tell you.
It's either really good or they don't care.
Right.
I don't know which one.
Now, one thing you mentioned was ISDN. Some of our students here may not know what that is. Could you explain a little bit about doing an ISDN session?
Yeah, ISDN is I'm trying to think of how to explain it. It's like basically it's a data protocol where we have a box. We actually have 2. There's several companies that make the boxes, and you're sending your talkback or your voice tone, whatever, into the box. It's encoded, sent via copper wire phone lines, I'm talking ancient technology stuff here, to wherever the other end is, and then they have another box that decodes it and encodes theirs back. So it's, I've done VO records via ISDN to South Africa, Germany, London, Japan, whatever, and it's like they're sitting in the booth, in the room next to you.
Right. Now, have you done ADR doing that?
I have not, and I hope not to, because
you should never do that.
I don't like ADR in person. I don't want to do it via ISDN.
It's really horrible. You have to send a time code feed and
no
awful.
thanks.
Okay.
I'll give that to Chip.
All right. Okay, so I had a question about music, and you kind of started pulling up about how, so the editors are putting in music, you're just going through, you're smoothing the edits, just making sure that everything is landing on the beats right and correctly and stuff. So a little bit about the music. They're usually using stock music, or are they having stuff composed, or what?
Yeah, and once again, it depends on the client, and depends on the show or series or whatever. Bomb Patrol, Cupcakes, all that stuff, they cut it in. They actually have a composer that has a library, and the composer picks from that, and they go, you know what, I like that, but I don't want this, or whatever, and then he'll customize it.
Okay.
For National Geographic and stuff like that, sometimes the editor cuts it in. Sometimes the producer's like, I love everything, but I hate these cues. Can you replace them? Okay. Or sometimes I have to do all of it. Next Mega Quake, which I just did a few weeks ago, it was a 90-minute show, and I actually had 5 days to cut the music, which was awesome. I never get that much time. So in that case, I'm going on, they have a production library that they have a blanket deal with. And so I log in and search through, pick stuff, drop it in, see what it looks like. Yeah, that's great. No, it sucks. Swap it out, cut it down.
Yeah, I know, very important, obviously, with production companies, they have their own licensing for stuff, because I've worked on a lot of VH1 shows, and you watch other VH1 shows, and they're using all the same music cues, It's like, oh, great.
Yeah.
I know that song.
Exactly.
It's awful.
I hear stuff all the time. Oh, yeah, that's Dirt Rider.
Yeah, and you know the name of it, which is even worse. You know the clip name, like, oh. All right. Let's see. Okay, so we were talking about doing the mix. So let's get a little bit into mix stuff now. Okay. So you've got all your elements in place, and now we're going to just, you're going to bring everything up on the console. I mean, what are you starting with? Are you starting with dialogue? Are you starting with music? Where are you going with that?
Yeah, and Chip and I both do the same thing here. We always start with the dialogue and the VO. Well, almost always. Sometimes we don't have the final VO, so we have to use Scratch. But always starting with the dialogue and the voiceover. Especially now with all the dial norm requirements and stuff, it's easy to just go, okay, now I'm in the pocket where I need to be, and then I'll pull in everything else around it. So usually my process is dialogue, VO, and then I bring the music in, and then I bring the sound effects in. And then I go back and do a panning pass, and then I go back and see, well, do I need anything in LFE or not?
Okay. All right.
Punch it.
All right. You bring up a good thing there, too, dialogue normalization. Maybe you could explain that to the students, because I'm sure that's something they haven't heard much about.
Well, I don't know how many years ago it was, but Dolby basically created this thing, dial norm, and the goal is awesome. Basically, if you're watching TV and you change the channel from Fox to NBC, there could be a massive change in level, or it goes to commercial, and all of a sudden you're getting your cones blown out of your speakers. So the goal was to make everything the same, and so they came out with this meter, the LM100 meter, and which then sparked a million other plugins and other meters and stuff that were reading this dial norm. And basically, it's measuring the loudness of the program while dialogue is detected. So, and the goal, depending on what network you were mixing for previously, could vary. It could be Discovery was -27 plus or minus 1 dB, and PBS would be -24 plus or minus 2. You know, everyone had their own thing, and now there's the FCC regulations, which is -24 plus or minus 1 dB. So we set the dialogue up, and we're like, all right, we're -24. And once you mix around it, sometimes it'll vary a dB or so, and as long as you're within the regulations, you're good.
Okay. So basically what you're doing is you go through, you balance all your dialogue, making sure that the dialogue normalization is running at -24 plus or minus 1.
Correct.
Okay, and then you're mixing everything else around that.
Right.
Okay.
And all the while, keep an eye on it to see short term, long term.
Okay.
The rules are long term, which is the length of the program or the length of the commercial. It has to measure that. So, but you can vary it within a reasonable amount. I can't remember exactly what it is, but you know, there's short-term measurements and long-term measurements, and really you need to be concerned about the long term.
Right. So when you're watching the meter, the short term's constantly going up and down, up
Right.
and down, up and down, and the long term is just like kind of holding, may slip up.
Exactly.
So a lot of companies nowadays, Dolby was the original one to come out with it. Waves has a WLM plugin. Isotope has Insight. That's a really cool one. You got to check it out.
Yeah, I've heard about it like last week. I haven't seen
Yeah,
it.
we started using it. It's really cool. Sorry.
Let's just sit here and talk about it.
So now how that varies from film mixing is now in film mixing, you calibrate the room to, say, 85 decibels, or like a room like yours, we do 79 decibels probably, and you mix for comfort. Okay, so you're not looking at the meter so much as you are just trying to make a mix in that, you know, decibel range that sounds nice. Okay, and then in TV, all you're concerned about is like watching this number.
Until you get comfortable with your room. Because once you train yourself to the monitor system you're using, the room that you're in, or whatever, you're like, you know, okay, I'm within the range by just mixing. And then you can go, okay, let's look at the meter and check it out. That's one of the things that Chip and I've had to deal with over the past 5-6 months is new rooms, new monitors. Oh, I don't understand what's going on. You know, why am I at 23 or 22 or, you know, and mixing at a lower level because we used to mix at 83 because we had bigger rooms. Right. So it's, you know, you got to adapt. But once you get used to doing it over and over and over, you don't have to really stare at the meter, but you can.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't hurt, really.
What are you using the monitor? What speakers are you
we have JBL, the 6328s right now. We used to use an old Tannoy passive system, and I despised them, and nothing wrong with Tannoy. It's just these particular monitors that I really didn't like, and at MVI, they weren't willing to spend the money to do it. And so that's one thing Chip and I decided, when we buy monitors, we're going to buy the ones that we want. So we had a little shootout, and we went with JBL because of the quality of the sound and the cost. Yeah. I really wanted Dyne Audio because I love Dyne Audio.
They are nice too.
But I could not afford them.
You're mixing. You're delivering everything in 5.1.
Depending on the show, yeah.
Okay.
Discovery Channel is stereo, and they upmix. Bomb Patrol was G4 network, which is NBC, and that was stereo. All the Nat Geo stuff is 5.1. TLC is stereo. PBS is stereo. It really just depends.
Okay. All right. So you know, you finished your mix off, and say we're talking about Bomb Patrol. What are you actually delivering on? Are you delivering a file, multiple files? Are you laying it back to tape? Tell us what you're doing in that process.
All right. Once again, that depends on the project and the network. Bomb Patrol, we delivered HD cam masters with, I believe there were 2. One had stereo full mix, one had stereo mix minus narration, beeped, because there was a whole lot of cussing in those shows. And then we had another version that was unbeeped with the texted master had full mix and mix minus, and the textless master had some weird split audio. and we're delivering DVDs, data DVDs of the final stems. And then so for like National Geographic, I'm delivering on HDCam SR. 1, 2 is full mix stereo. 3, 4 is stereo mix minus narration. 5, 6 is Dolby E. 5.1 used to be +2, but now it's not. And then full mix. And then 7 and 8 is Dolby E mix minus narration. And then discs for everything else. So a disc of full mix, a disc of mix minus, a disc of all the stems. They want everything.
Yes. Okay, so now you finished the mix. How long does it take you to get all the deliverables done?
Well, it depends. If it's if we're doing 2 laybacks and we're not laying back the video, we'll get done in 2 hours, and then burning disk time. So 10 or 15 minutes a disk to burn.
All right, wasn't that bad.
3 or 4 gigs, something like that. Yeah.
Not too bad at all. So when it comes to like trying out new gear and stuff like that, are you guys like really trying to like push and try a lot of different things, or are you just like, I found what I like, I want to stay there?
It really depends on what it is. That image right there is, I don't know, is that next Megaquake? Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the plugins I had on there, like as far as trying something different, I'm addicted to that API 2500 plugin compressor. So I use that on every single project for voiceover or dialogue. Chip prefers the SSL stuff.
Okay.
So he sticks with that. But as far as creative stuff, yeah, we'll just mess around, try whatever. There's a lot of free plugins that people create and put up that work really well. Since we're not Pro Tools, we don't have, what was that plugin? Cosmonaut Voice or whatever it's called, right?
Right.
So it's only Pro Tools.
Right.
Well, we found this free one called Spaceman that is awesome. And you can do some really cool stuff with it, So like, there's some free stuff out there that we're like, we'll try it.
Right.
If it's great, then we'll keep it in the arsenal.
Yeah, I know the Massey stuff came out too. That, I mean, you demo it for free, and the only thing is that just when you close your session out, it defaults to 0, and that's it. Otherwise, the plugins run forever, and they're really cheap if you actually do want to buy them.
Yeah, and some of the demo stuff, like they won't let you save a preset or whatever, but you can still use it.
Right, it's perfectly
just
good
record your
creative
stuff down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and other stuff, like I've never been like a synth or sequencer kind of sound design guy. A lot of people are, but our engineer is actually like, his hobby is collecting sequencers and synths and organs and stuff. He just got a synclavier, so I want to try to learn how to use that thing because it's pretty awesome.
Okay, so synclavier hasn't been around in a while, so maybe you give a brief overview.
Oh, I don't know anything
is.
about synclavier except for it's like a awesome sequencer apparently, and actually I think they still use them at Skywalker.
Yes, I have heard that. Yes, so
you probably know a whole lot more about it than I do.
I don't know much about synclaviers actually.
It's really, really big.
Yes,
and the rack that runs it is like this tall.
Okay, so we're getting down towards the end of the hour, so now we gotta ask you some of the weirder stuff now.
Awesome.
We want to get a weird story out of you. So you got to tell us maybe a crazy story about a director or a VO or something like that. Tell us about a weird session.
Is this online?
So maybe we shouldn't say names.
No names. All right. So we had this guy who's a well-known guy, and he came in to do a record for another very well-known guy, and he hadn't been given the script ahead of time, and he was not happy about that. And the director said, "Don't give him the script until he gets in the booth."
Oh, God.
And we're all like, "This is not going to end well." He was expecting it to be very, very short. It ended up being very, very long, and he was not happy, and went off, and I've never seen anyone go off like that before. And we had a guy via phone from LA who was directing, and then a local director, and yeah, it was not a pretty sight. I was in my room. Chip was actually the one doing the record, and this was back at our old place. He was the one doing the record, I was in my room, and I could hear the screaming from down the hall on the other side of the floor. But that's rare. That's pretty rare.
Okay. Well, you see, when you were talking about ISDN earlier, because ISDN, you were patched to another place, right? And
Yeah.
I had a famous actor once that actually passed out in the booth.
Oh my gosh.
And LA started yelling at me, going, "Oh, we lost the feed and everything. What the heck's the matter with you? You stupid! You don't know what the hell you're doing." And
But it turns out the guy passed out.
yeah, I really couldn't say that though, so I had to open the booth door and reach in and close the door. And he was like, "I'm sorry, patch cable was a little out there."
Well, I'll tell you, the voiceover guys, man, there's some characters.
Yes.
There was this guy, and I can say his name, who became a very good friend of mine. I think I probably did, 200 or 250 reversions or re-narrations with this guy. His name is Nick. Super awesome voiceover guy, and you hear him all over the place on like Cialis commercials and stuff. But he's in New York, and so we're always ISDNing, and I had never met the guy in person. That's the weird thing about doing the ISDN thing. Like, you develop a relationship, but you've never met these people in person. So anyway, Nick had this thing where the word helicopter, he always said helicopter. And it used to drive me and the producer insane. And so we kept telling him, "Hey, Nick, can you do that again, man? You said helicopter." "I'd never, ever say helicopter." You know, going off. So we had another session the following week, so I took clips of him saying helicopter, and "I never, ever say helicopter," and all this stuff, and I made a song out of it. And so the next session, he gets in the booth, gets all set up. "Hey, how's it going? Yeah. Hey, Nick, I got something to play for you." So I played it. And it ended. It was like a minute long. It ended, and it was dead silence. And I'm turning around, looking at the producer like, "Oh, crap."
Oh.
And then I hear him go off, pull his headphones off, throw them on the ground, open the door, slam it, and walk off, and we're sitting there going. And now the producer's looking at me like, "Great. How are we going to do this show?" He just stormed out. And the engineer on the other end was the same engineer every time, Chris. And he's like, "Man, you shouldn't have done that." I'm like, "Oh." And Nick let that go on for about 5 minutes. And then he walked back in the booth and he goes, "No, I'm just playing, man. Play the thing again. It was hilarious." I'm having a heart attack, you know?
Oh, man. Awesome. I think it would be a good thing too. Since you've been through the whole, interning, getting a job, getting your foot in the door, and everything. Maybe you kind of want to just relate what you think is like some things that maybe mistakes that you made that you would have loved to have done over. What can you tell like students that you feel like might help them once they get out in the industry and they're trying to get their foot in the door, and how to get to where they want to go?
The number one mistake I ever made was erasing a master tape. Don't do that. That's bad.
If anyone writes that down, I'm going to be very upset.
That was
erase
bad.
master.
No, I think you need to be aggressive when you're going out and you're trying to find a job, but you need to make sure you don't cross the line to annoying or psychotic. Like, you really need to get out there, because in this room, how many people are here? What, 80? Okay, so out of 80 people here, 80 people are going to be trying to get jobs. So you need to tell the future employer how you're better than that guy without going, "I'm better than that guy." You know what I mean? Like, and I'll tell you, for me, we bring in a lot of interns, Full Sail guys, and other places too. And honestly, and I know some people in career development are not going to be happy when I say this, but I don't really look at the resumes because they kind of all look the same. I just say, "When can you come in to talk to us?" Because the most important things are, what is your attitude? Can we get along with you and spend all day, every day with you? How are you going to present yourself to clients? How can you communicate with the clients and with us. So those are really the important things. And your drive. If you're like, yeah, I want to be a music producer, but this is the only thing, so I guess I'm going to do post, then I'm like, all right, that's great. I know some music guys I can put you in touch with. I'll try to help you out, but, you know, you got to have the drive and the attitude and communication skills and be willing to work hard.
Yeah. And I think to add a little bit to that, it's funny because a lot of what you said was, if anybody was at Rick Veer's thing yesterday, he said almost exactly the same thing about resumes, how he didn't really like to look at them and stuff like that. But he makes his intern candidates make funny videos.
Yeah. I've heard about that. I'd love to see them.
But I think another thing you have to, also look at too with that is the relationship that we have with people in these studios too. That the people that are teaching you, okay. You came in here with Aaron Newbeck, who's course director for advanced audio post production. So if you're not showing an initiative, say in that class, and then you want to get into his facility, he's going to call Aaron up.
And I have, and I will.
So, it begins here, that drive, that determination, showing that personality. I know on the dub stage, we meet a lot of people and stuff. And, I'll have Aaron come to me and say, you need to get this guy in. He's coming, and I think he really should enter. And those are the type of people where, we say, oh, you're going to DC? Well, you should call Frank. He might be, interested in meeting you. So, I think that really does starts here when you're here,
Absolutely does. And one thing that I wish that I had paid more attention to when I was at Full Sail, which I only did with a couple people, and I regret it now, not doing it more, is while you're here, study your butt off, work your butt off, but network with everyone else that's here and not just in your program. Because if you can develop friendships with people in the film and video program or in the live program or entertainment business or whatever, then, and you can grow that relationship, and down the line, you can help each other out big time. The few people that I've stayed in touch with over the years from my graduating month here, one of them is like a senior animator or lead animator or something at Ubisoft.
Nice.
Now, granted, I hardly ever see him except for on Facebook because I'm addicted to Facebook and Twitter and everything else. But, maybe down the line they need someone to do something and they're booked up and the people they usually use are booked up and he can call me. Or maybe I have a client that needs some animation done and he's, got downtime,
right,
which is not likely in the video game business, but, you can call upon each other and help each other out. So it's very important. And not only that, you're going to learn how to communicate with the video editors, the film editors, the people who are going to be producers and directors and all that. Learn their language while they're here learning the language.
Right.
And then you can bounce off each other and it'll help a lot.
Do you feel like it's good too for like the audio people to get like an idea of like how to run some basic softwares like a Final Cut or a Avid or something like that?
Absolutely. At least know how to import files and export files. Other than that, leave it up to the editor. But if you want to learn it, go for it because it's not going to hurt. It'll definitely help. I can open a Final Cut and import something and export something, and I'm getting ready to cut a music video. I'm not a video editor, but it's a friend's band, and he asked me to do him a favor, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to learn. So I think it is important to learn things like that. Absolutely.
Excellent. So, there's some pretty cool things there, to think about, like where you want to go. And I know this is probably tough because, did you know when you were here that this was it for you? Or
No, I came in, I wanted to move to Nashville and do music because I've been a musician since I was 10 years old. And I was married with a kid when I came here. And my wife decided she didn't want to move to Nashville. And then I went into the audio post course and I was like, hey, I love movies. This is awesome. I'll do that.
There you go. Find your way.
Yeah. And then career development, you know, helping me find the people to talk to, and then friends, family friends, you know, hooking me up, and was able to set up the interviews and stuff. So, you know, that's another tool that is here for you that you should use, career development.
Excellent. All right. Well, some really great insight here today. So this is going to conclude audio post workflows for Episodic TV discussion. I want to thank very much Frank Scheuring. Give him a hand, everybody.